Right guys, I wanted to make a little video of the different Seagull models and some of their characteristics, and I'm doing it now because I've got quite a few of them here. So quickly before we get into it, that is a 40 minus, that is a 40 featherweight, that is a 40 plus SJP engine code, that is a 40 plus FP engine code, that is a Century LLS, that is a Silver Century S, that is the clutched plus gearbox for the Silver Century. So if it was SP, it would have that. That is a 102, and I don't have a Seagull 90, but I have a very nice drawing of one. So we're going to talk about that as well. So let's go back outside here. So the 40 minus and the featherweight are basically the same engine. I mean, the 40 minus was just much earlier. So that one on the left is 1957, and the one on the right is 1972. But they've got the same cylinder or engine block, 63 cc's. They've both got Villiers carbs, one with a steel bowl, one with a plastic bowl. This one has got a recoil starter. They've got the same length and they've got the same gearbox. So these featherweights were officially 1 to 2 horsepower, but the horsepower is not very reliable with Seagulls, and when they moved to foot-pounds of bollard thrust from the propeller, then they called these the 45. So what's interesting is the gearbox is dropping my little crib notes here. It's 10 to 21. So Seagulls used to describe it by that there were 10 teeth on this bit, and this one had 30, and so it's a reduction gearbox, 10 to 21. But that effectively means 2.1 to 1. So all of these have roughly the same maximum RPM, 4,000 revolutions per minute of the engine. So when that is at 4,000 RPM, that little propeller will be spinning at 1,900 revolutions per minute. And that is a 4-blade, 6-inch prop. My favorite little motor. I'll put that out there up front. And they say officially it can drive a 6 to 9 foot dinghy, small inflatable. I use mine with a mirror dinghy, 4 or 5 people, and works brilliantly. Okay, then we move to the 40 plus. Now, the top is exactly the same as the featherweight. So they say it's 2 to 3 horsepower, but it's not that the engine is any bigger, it's that the gearbox is different. So again, you can see Villiers carbs. These have both got wide pack ignition. That's a Villiers ignition, the older one. And as I said, it's an SJP and a FP. The SJP is April 65. That one's in the 70s somewhere. The gearbox is different and the propeller is a different size. So this gearbox is 10 to 35, so 10 teeth at the top, 35 at the bottom. So when that's spinning at 4,000, that prop is spinning at 1140. Remember the SJM was spinning at 1900. So it's slower, but it's got a bigger propeller. That's a 4-blade 9-inch. That little SJM was 4-blade 6-inch. And officially they say this will drive a 10 to 14 foot boat. This is your kind of the Seagull for most things, let's put it that way. Now the one I don't have is you can get a clutched version of this, and that has a gearbox with different gearing. The clutched gearbox has gearing of 12 to 30, which means it spins around 1600. So it's kind of a bit in between these, and actually I think there's a really great option. Okay, then we're going to go here. So the first one of the bigger block, so these Century, Silver Century, and when we look at the 90 inside, have the same bigger block. I think it's 102 cc's. This one is June 65 LLS. It is rated at 4 horsepower, so more than the 40 plus, but it has the same gearbox. So the 40 pluses have the small block and the 10 to 35 gearbox, there it is. And when we get to the Century, same gearbox. It just sometimes can have a bigger propeller. So that is a 5-blade. I think it's 9-inch. That's a 4-blade 9-inch. So it's going to spin just as fast as a 40 plus. It's got a bigger propeller, and it's got a bit more grunt, and it's quite a bit heavier. And I say that for 14 to 19 foot boats. Then we get to the Silver Century, one that everybody seems to want. Officially is 3 to 4.5 horsepower. Same gearbox again as a 40 plus, but it has a different carburetor, which is on the other side here. So that is a Amel 2-jet carburetor, so 1 jet for idling and 1 jet for racing, going at speed. It's pretty much just an upgraded Century. It got most of the time different ignition, and it got the different carb, and you can see these have got basically the same propeller, 5-blade 9-inch. Engine code S. If you have an engine code with an S and a P, then it's the plus. It means it has this gearbox. Everything else the same, but this gearbox has a lower gearing. It's 12 to 48, so it's 4 to 1 slow. When that is spinning at 4,000 on that gearbox, that propeller is turning at 1,000 revolutions per minute. Down here you're at 1,900, so half the speed. Big ass, what is that, 4-blade, this one is a 4-blade Clover 11-inch. Really designed for big heavy boats, they say 14 to 19 foot. And then finally, of the ones we've actually got here, we've got a 102, what they call round block. Got no cylinder head, it's one integrated block. This one is 1957. it's got 12 to 30 gearbox, and that's a 4-blade 9.5-inch prop. It's kind of, in a way, from small to large, but the point is that, like a displacement hull, a boat that doesn't go on a plane will only go around 4 or 5 knots. So let's say 5 knots, about 6 miles an hour. Let's call it, I don't know, 8 or 9 kilometers an hour. So if you've got a 14-foot rowboat and you put one of these on, a Century or a Silver Century or the Plus, you just can run it with like a third of the throttle. You're not going to go any faster, and you probably would get probably get the same speed with a 40 Plus, but running, you know, closer to maximum. And actually, these little things would do just fine as well. So I think a lot of people say, well, you know, I want the 5 horsepower. This one, which has got the same gearbox as the 2.5 horsepower, which has got the same engine as the 1 horsepower. What's much more important is, like, what boat is it? How long is the boat? So they say for a displacement hull, a boat that's not planing, its maximum speed is the square root of its length times 1.5. So pick an easy one, 16 foot. So square root of 16 is 4 times 1.5, 6. 6 knots, 7 miles an hour. It's as fast as that boat is going. It doesn't matter whether you put this one on at full throttle or, you know, these. The boat's maximum speed is determined by the length of its hull, generally. For displacement hulls, I'm not talking about planing. Okay, let's go finally and have a look at our... so this cutaway drawing was done for Seagull, for British Seagull, and the guy that did it kept it all these years and then put it on eBay. There were 2 of them, so I got this one, which I'm very fond of. So it has the same block as the Silver Century. It's got electronic ignition, it's got a clutch. Biggest difference though is it has the FRN gearbox. So it's pretty much the only Seagull that's got a reverse gear. And they say they built it as an auxiliary for yachts, particularly when you were operating them in marinas, you know, parking them, and you had to go backwards as well. It's rated 5 horsepower. It's got an electronic fuel ignition. Most time at an AML 416 car, which is a great car. Big old 9.5-inch propeller. But the gearing actually is not, it's 3.1 to 1, as opposed to the Silver Century Plus, which is 4 to 1. So it's not geared as low as the Silver Century. And I actually have one of these packed away already for my friend Dale. But I think if you're thinking of doing like the Kent and Seagull regatta, you could put this on the back of a speedboat next to your big motor, and you wouldn't need to get yourself a new boat for the regatta. You could just use your auxiliary. So I hope that was useful, a kind of beginner's guide. There are lots of super knowledgeable people on the Seagull, so if I've messed anything up, or if you've got any comments, please put them in. But I would say for most applications nowadays, 40 Plus is your go-to motor. Silver Century is great, it's heavier. It would tow another boat quite nicely, but it's not really going to make your average kind of rowboat go any faster. 102s are great classic motors, but it's hard to get spares for them. And don't underestimate the 40 minus and the Featherweight. Super light, neat little motors, easy to operate, and they also will get you there, and they're great fun. It is raining, but not much, and that's my classic Seagull models video. Now, of course, I haven't discussed the earlier ones, so like the Marston from the 30s, the Little 40. This is pretty much the 40 series, Century, Silver Century, the 90, and yeah, we threw a 102 in just because I had a nice one lying around. Thanks guys, cheers.